Hi everybody, welcome to this new video that will look into the power of AI. My name is Tor Storley, and in this video I'm going to be covering a super powerful AI app that you can go and use yourself, made by folks at OpenAI. And this particular API, or I guess that's what it is called ChatGPT. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate some of the power that you can generate with this app. And it's truly remarkable. And at the same time as this technology developed, maybe a little scary too. So let's jump into this and let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is open up this website. And you go to chat.openai.com, and then you have a login page like this. So once you get here, you have to enter in an email address and, go through I'm not a robot type of thing. Or you can continue with if you have a Google account like I do. So I'm just going to continue with my Google account and log in that way because I already set this up. So you fill it in and then you get to this screen eventually. And you can see you have some examples they give you here you can try out, and it talks about the capabilities and the limitations. So what I have done is I went through this a little earlier today and tried it out, and it was quite astounding what I found out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type in a few things into this window here. You can see this text box down below, and let's see what it produces. So let's go ahead and grab this first one that I tried out, which is this particular request. Show different code examples of how to create a pandas data frame in Python. So when I hit enter now, let's see what happens, and hopefully my recording here will be able to keep up with the output. So let's try this out and see what it does. So I hit enter, and as you can see, it tells you, sure, here are some examples for you, and they give me an example of how it can be generated from a dictionary, and it just spills out code examples for you. And notice you can copy code from those examples. And then it goes to explain the information. So I'm going to let this continue running, and then we'll look at the output. So as you can see, it's been given some examples now, and also notice that at the very end, it generates this thread up here, create pandas data frame. What you can do is you can continue within this example and throw more stuff at it, and it will have in memory what you've been asking for before, which is really truly remarkable. And I'll show an example in a little bit. But notice here, I simply asked, show some different code examples of how to create a pandas data frame in Python. And it spilled out this, so you can get it from a list of dictionaries like this. And then it writes some information here about it, what it did. Or you can get it from a dictionary of lists, from a list of lists, and it kind of spells out what it means here. Here is from a NumPy array, it produced code. And of course you can copy this code and paste it into your applications as needed. And in the end here, it tells you, I hope these examples are helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Now, if you click this regenerate response, it will try to maybe take a different angle to this, or it might be reproducing similar things. So it's really a trial and error type of thing for you to try out yourself. Let's go in and continue and let's ask another question. So here I'm asking, how do I scrape web pages from the internet using Python? Show me some examples using Python code. So I'm going to hit enter, and there it goes. So it tells you what the web scraping is and how many libraries are available. And then it starts talking about request library and beautiful soup, and it starts spitting out a bunch of code. So let this run for a little bit, and then we'll get back to it. So I'm going to pause it here while it's typing all this stuff. So as you can see, it continues here with Selenium, and it keeps going, and I got to keep pressing this down arrow key to keep up with this stuff. And then it explains what Selenium library does, and then it finishes. So as you can see, it just went ahead and it created all these code samples for you, and it's truly remarkable. So those are two examples you can use for Python kind of requests. I just want to try that out. So I'm going to create this new chat here because I don't want things to be in memory. I want it to start with a new topic, so to speak. In this request, I am telling you that I am interested in creating a blog post in HTML. I want to show the history of how the student T distribution was created. So here I'm requesting some information about student T distribution, and I just chose this topic because I thought it was an interesting topic as far as history goes for why it became to call students T distribution. I'm asking for an HTML page with the tags and the story. So when I hit enter now, you can see certainly, here is an HTML page with markup tags. It tells a story of how the student T distribution was created. And here's that spitting out HTML page for you. And then it creates bodies and headers, and it produces paragraphs with the history of this distribution. So as you can see here, it keeps typing all this stuff out for you and generating a HTML page. And there it is. So I say, that's cool. But it's kind of plain. It's just a basic plain, but it has all the information, as you can see, which is interesting because this person in 1908, he was working for Guinness, the brewery, but he was not allowed to publish things, so that's why he called himself Student T. So you can read up on that yourself. But as I did this, I said, that's cool, but it would be nice to have a little bit more nicer looking type of page. So I just continued by entering in this. Can you please style the HTML page so it looks like a blog post with blue color theme and add emphasis to keywords? And then I hit enter and along it went and it says, yeah, sure. And it goes ahead and it starts writing code. And look now, it starts putting in styling information and it gives H1s in color navy, as you can see, the font size. It goes ahead with the same output. And notice I also asked for emphasis on keywords. When you see those keywords, notice it puts in that class emphasis that it created above in the styling section. It's pretty amazing. It just goes ahead and based on your just plain text requests, it goes ahead and create all this stuff. Let's now go up and take some of this information, and I'm going to basically copy this code. And I generated a page earlier that I called the student T. So let me just open that here and let me override it with this code I just generated. So as you can see here is that code I just copied it in. So let me save that and let me go back and let me open this one with Chrome. So I'm opening it in Chrome. And notice, this is what it produced for me. The history of students T distribution. And you can see this page. Let me do it a little bigger here. You can see it doesn't look so great, but notice it did in blue the keywords, the emphasis on the important words. So right there you have some text that it produced for you. So let's go back and maybe let's go back to this one again. And let's try to add some more to this stuff. So I'm going to say, repeat the request, but style the body text using Tahoma font 16 pixels. And I'm getting very specific with my styling. Now when I hit enter, you see now it's going to go ahead and recreate that page, but it's going to use Tahoma font for the body text. And if you look here now, you can see there's the font size 16 and font family of Tahoma. So it creates the same page with that new markup here. So let me pause it till it's... So as you can see, here it is, finished. Let me roll it up and copy this code. Let me put it back into my web page so we can see it. So let's delete this and let's paste the new code in. Let's save it and let's go back and look at it again. So let me refresh. And here you can see it produced a different font. It's a bigger 16 point. Now it's not, you probably want to go in and fix it up a little bit. Can you repeat the blog post, but create a markdown document instead of HTML? And I'm going to hit enter. And there you go, certainly. And notice it starts creating markdown output. You see the bigger header there. You see the student T distribution is in italics. And it just keeps creating the same document now, but not in HTML form. And notice that. But when I look at this, okay, how am I going to use this? Well, why don't you give me what I need? So what I need is this. I want to see the markdown in code form. So now when I'm going to hit enter, it goes ahead and notice this. It writes the same stuff out, but now in code form, where it puts the star in front and after the emphasis word, as you can see, with a student T distribution. And it produces this H1 header above here. So yeah, right there, you can see also what happened here, that it wrote that document out for you, but in Markdown. Now that's interesting. Now, what I want to do next is I want to test it on some other areas besides just this. So since I've been working in data for a very long time, I decided, why don't I test it and see how good it is with writing database kind of code? How do I write a SQL query to find the top 5 employees in a company or in the company? Show me an Oracle style query example. So I'm asking specifically for a specific database. Now let's try that and see what it does. So it goes ahead and it shows you this is the Oracle query that will find this, and then it explains what it does. So it talks about select star from employees table, and then it shows you a second example here where you have actually employee ID, first name, last name, and then it goes ahead and tells you that it used the row num function to find where it's less than or equal to 5. So the output is this because it's ordering it. We didn't specify how you measure the employees. So notice it picked salary. All right. So that's not half bad, because how do you measure the top 5 employees? Well, since these are example code, maybe salary would be used, but maybe there is performance or something. How is this AI tool going to know that? I mean, so this is pretty impressive. I mean, they came up with an example, and you can maybe say, hey, I could use row numbers if I order it based on whatever my criteria is. So that's pretty impressive. So I didn't want to just see it based on their salary. So I tried to be more specific. How do I write a SQL query to find the top 5 employees in a company based on how much sales to customers they made? Show me an Oracle style query example. So I'm adding this customer, sales to customer. And here you can see what it produced. It says to find it, you can use this query. As you can see here, it produces an inner join between the sales table and the employees table based on employee ID. And it groups it by employee ID, first name, and it orders by total sales, and it uses this row numbers less than or equal to 5 again. And also they give you a second example where you can use the limit clause like this, and it gives you the query here, and then it explains it and so forth. So the more detail you add here, you're going to see some different results. So I thought, this was kind of interesting too, where it changed the query based on my additional demand here, based on how much sales to customers they made. So I wanted to show you that. What if I want to see it in SQL Server? And what if I want to create a table function in T-SQL? Would that be able to understand that? Well, let's try it out and see what happens. There it goes. In Microsoft SQL Server, you can create table value functions, TVFs, to return a table as the output of the function. Here's the syntax. And it goes ahead and it creates a function for you that represents what it will look like. So it gives you the important stuff, returns table, and then it gives you a sample query. Notice it keeps going here. Wow, it keeps going, more than one example. Okay. It looks like it picked up on the previous query that it generated with these employees, right? But it still returns tables, so that's pretty impressive. So that's kind of amazing. Let's try another one. How do I use Oracle SQL model clause, and give me some examples? So I hit enter, and then it starts explaining what the model clause is. So here's the basic syntax, and sure enough, it gives you the model clause, and then it dimensions it, measures, it shows the rules. Now this is pretty boilerplate, but look at this. It produces actual code for you here. So it actually puts in the rules for you for total salary. It's very interesting because it keeps building these examples based on my first request for the top 5, it looks like. So with that, it keeps using employees and so forth. Look at this. Now it's down to ranking it. Now, when I tried this out the first time, I didn't get all this stuff. It just keeps producing new stuff that I haven't seen before. Now that is impressive. Look at all this that it created just on the fly. And these are pretty decent examples too. I used this create pandas data frame. So let me go back to that one because that was within Python kind of, right? So I can either create a new one or I can continue on this one. Let's continue and see what happens. So what I'm saying is generate a blog post that explains the difference between lambda function and a list comprehension. Show one example of each. And I hit enter and there it goes. And then it goes ahead and explain a little bit what it did. And then let's look at list comprehension now. And it goes ahead and it builds a list comprehension example for you. And then it tells you what's the difference at the bottom here. Look at this. What is the main difference between lambda function and list comprehensions? You know, you really got to screen this, obviously, to make sure that it's correct. But that is pretty impressive. It spooled out all this stuff for you. So as you can see, it's very good at generating code outputs. So my daughter, I showed this to my daughter because I thought it was so cool. So do you have any questions? What are the top 5 vegetarian dishes in the US and how do you make them? Well, let's try it and see what happens. So here it goes. Here are 5 popular vegetarian dishes in the US along with a recipe. So as you can see, it spooled out a lot of information. Look at all this stuff it wrote down. Christine also asked another question. She said, because she's been working in a lab, she had some technical questions, which I know nothing about, some microbiology stuff. So she says, explain how to run a Listeria alpha test in microbiology testing. So I have no idea what this is, but let's see what happens when you try it. So there it goes. It tells you it's a rapid and sensitive method for detecting Listeria species in food. And then it goes ahead and just pours out information about how to prepare the sample, to get the materials, to perform the test. And it just keeps going and going here with the topic here. And I have no idea what this is, but it looks impressive to me. So I'm just going to and then read the results. And it keeps spooling out stuff here. And it just goes on and on. My goodness, I mean, you just have to think about all the use cases for this stuff. I mean, you can write blogs, it can produce papers for you, you can analyze papers, you can just have it make up stories for you. I mean, the limit is probably in your head, but this is very, very impressive and a little scary, you know, depending on how this is being used. A couple of hours ago, and I just started playing with this, and it is really impressive stuff. So finally, I just want to explain a little bit about the ChatGPT, but instead of me trying to figure it out, I just ask the bot itself, who are you? In other words, what is ChatGPT and how was it trained and what can it do and what are the pros and cons? You can still the video and read this yourself, but it was created by OpenAI and it tells you a little bit about the language model it uses and so forth. I will put the output of these questions that I asked here in the description to this video so you can read it yourself. So I hope you like this and give me a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to. And I'll get back later with another video. So thank you very much and Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year.